Thank you for participation for today. So welcome to this special addition to the whole series of contest series training. Now today's is actually mainly about my contest sharings and also some common tips to overcome the current obstacles that each contestant may be facing along the way when you're competing online, or even organizing online contests, some potential issues. So today I'm actually combining both together for this 1 hour session on my mobile backup Wi-Fi, so that it's actually shared to this. If it's laggy, I do apologize. Now for this, I'm not going to put on PowerPoint slides because I don't want to embarrass myself throughout the world. So I'm going to focus on just storytellings and how to make very inspirational, connective storytellings to everyone around the world right now. So the first one, I will share my contest experience the first time I go for such a contest. It was back in 2008, and I was actually invited to go for an online contest whereby there's a video and then they'll record it live and there'll be judges in front of you. So imagine that there are judges, 3 judges with the bells in front. So if they don't like you, they'll just tap the bell and then you go away. And you'll be recorded. And that time, I was kind of confused because it's actually, let me just spotlight myself a bit, I apologize. Because I thought that it was an online contest. Okay, I thought it was online because you're recording, but then it's that you are having a mobile phone just beside it, and that those days are that you have to think about it's not as advanced as the current mobiles. Okay, the current mobiles are quite nice technology and stuff like that. That time it was a really crappy. I don't even remember whether it's a mobile or even it's a webcam. So it's a very crappy stuff there. And then we have 3 judges in front, and I have to know who I'm looking at. So the first common issue that we do face, as a contestant, is that I do not know who to look at because I want to look at the judges, but I know that I'm being recorded. Just imagine that you're in a studio and you do not know where to look. So you need to make sure that in the contest itself, if you have been to the contestant training, you know that one of the tips that I mentioned definitely is to look at the camera, which is one tip. And I'll add one more tip is that look at the camera or look at the word is all, okay? Or look at the people who are marking you. So in the online contest itself, we have judges who are marking you. So basically your main target is the camera. That's why we highlighted this main point for that. So for those of you who recorded right now, you actually type in the chat box like the first point so that you can actually, or you have a piece of paper, you can write that down. I know Simon is actually driving, so it's understandable. No, I just demonstrated the second main point because I actually time my this very, very clearly, okay? The second point that when we are competing on the contest is that you will have disruptive calls. This is very simple, practical. If you're using a mobile, try to avoid it. It's very simple. When we're actually competing online, if we're using the mobile phone, just for example, you have WhatsApp calls, phone calls that might interrupt your meetings. And And those times when I actually want to compete for contests, one of the situations that I embarrassed myself is I was competing online, and I do have phone calls calling in, literally. And then those phone calls, I cannot turn it down because it was from my boss. You can't tell your boss and say, hey, I'm having my contest, call later. And then that's the situation you have to bear. So what I would suggest that when we are having this contest is that you have to go to your setting modes. Now with all the mobile phones, it's pretty useful. If you're using your mobile phones, please go to your setting modes and then set do not disturb buttons. Okay, do not disturb button is actually really cool because it's very important in terms of preventing any disruptive calls. Just now I've just demonstrated that if there is someone that's calling us, you notice what happens next, right? I will get disconnected. Everyone can see that I'm disconnected just now, literally. So if you have like interruptive, disruptive calls that you do not want at that moment, please notify at least your contestants or your friends if they're competing online. Remember to turn on do not disturb mode, or at least mute incoming calls. Okay, to prevent incoming calls from disrupting your contest. So point number 2 is that we have to handle disruptive calls by clicking on the do not disturb button. So actually you can write it down if you want to. Do not disturb. Yes. It's very important that we have to set do not disturb. You do not want them to disrupt you suddenly. And you do not want that. Even laptops do have the same problem too. So can you imagine a moment whereby you get disrupted on the laptop and you're doing presentations, and suddenly an important call just calls in and disrupts you, like WeChat, WhatsApp, or even Skype. Then you hear the very similar fainting sound that's calling it back, something like that. Which my voice is pretty low today. It should be lighter. So those light points something that I kind of affected my performance and didn't allow me to have a win. Literally, those two are the common stuff because I do not know who to look at. The first one is there is a mobile phone which is very distracting. No, there's no mobile phone. There's a webcam that is very distracting. And I have to look at the judge. So I was performing and I noticed that there's a webcam, so I just look at it. So those are the variables that sometimes the contest chair has to remind them properly. Remind the contestants, please check out timer. And then one bonus tip is look at the camera. At the very least, focus on the camera. Don't let anything else distract you. If you have a script, it's very easy. If there's a script beside you, your eyes are looking somewhere else. Okay, so there's 2 points first. Now I remember I competed another contest in 2011, whereby this time is really fully in contest, and then the time the MSN Messenger starts to get knocked out by the market. So in the past, I still use MSN Messenger. For those of you who are very young, you might not know what MSN Messenger is. It's a communication tool whereby we do friends texting and stuff like that. And then there's a webcam and you have conversations. That's how I started and founded Project Infinity at that time. So that time it was pretty awful for that. But then when you actually go on to the next part, sorry, thank you. So when we moved to the next session, it was like the next phase where you find better webcams and you have better network connections and you have better Wi-Fi. Those are improving every time for online contests. So during the 2011, I went for a contest, still online. They want to, this time it's slightly different. When you say online, it means video. So you record the video on your laptop and then you do a video. So video-wise is quite different from contest. What do you mean by that? When you record video, you only record the video based on your own network. So you can do it quickly, faster, and everything is fine, okay? But when you're competing in online, you have to think about the disconnection issues that will appear. Not just that, you have to think about if there are lots of people that are in the room, then you will get kind of knocked out if your network is pretty poor. So that's a big difference. And that time I didn't know that. Okay, I literally didn't know that. I thought recording on a video and I do the pose and the posture very quickly. Okay, now you see what happens, right? You see my hands, literally. My hands are kind of, it goes without purpose. That's one thing. But the thing is that you can't see my hands clearly. When you're recording a video, it's easier to look at that because you are not affected by the outsider variables. You're just affected by your own computer and your phone system. Okay, so recording a video is very different from recording an online contest. So when you are competing for an online contest, which is tape first, and then you go for the real contest, then you need to think about, look, I need to prepare for it, so should I slow it down or something? Remember the contestants' tips. One of the tips actually mentioned that go slow, because you know that there will be network delays from the judges too. Go slow. So it's just kind of recap a bit, but then I'm sharing why I have to talk about that tip. Behind the scenes, this is the embarrassment I made. I competed very well. I got into the final stage whereby there will be live judges online. And after which, that time it was not even good with Zoom. We have to go for the very traditional Skype. And think about those elements in play. Competing online, I thought I did very well. I thought my network was okay. I thought everything is fine until the breaking news comes by and the judges say something like this. Aaron, you were just a bit laggy. I couldn't hear most of your wordings. Your voice is not audible. I can't hear you. And I thought everything should be okay, right, originally. But then I didn't expect that from the judge's perspective that they didn't hear anything. So for that contest as well, I lost at the final stage. So I do not want everyone to go for the same mistakes again. One of the interesting contests that I had is a live debate whereby it's like a debate with team of 3, and then you compete with another team. That's also another contest type. There's also online, and then there's no breakout room, but we are separated into our different group rooms. We gather together in real life together, and then we go online with a nice camera. That's not my camera that time. So this debate contest I'm going to share is a nightmare. Why do I nightmare? Is that what's the difference between a debate and a normal speech contest? For those of you who know the difference. Remember that there's a moment whereby you can counter argue the opposition party. You can actually argue, and then if you're feeling very annoyed, you're just like, okay, I'm right on this point, and I will stand up and then challenge you, right? So there is a total nightmare whereby the other party, the other group, didn't know that there is, I wouldn't say didn't know, but they know that the proper procedure is to wait until the people have spoken, right? Be a good listener before you say something. So that person just literally stand up, argue through it when the MC was talking. So we were like writing down notes as well. When one of my presenter is actually saying her stand, and the other party was like really angry and stand up and trying to challenge you. So there were multiple sounds at the same time. Imagine that. So what happens if you all unmute yourself and then there's lots of background noise? Think about that nightmare. So all of them are all situated. So that time we were kind of concerned that if we have to continue on, it will be to our disadvantage because I couldn't hear what their point is, right? If they are voicing up suddenly, then that might be a valid point for me to counter argue. So make sure that the contest MC or the contest host has to mute everyone except one person. So how do you prevent that? In Zoom is easy now. You can mute all and prevent people from unmuting themselves. So that there will be angry people who wants to disrupt you. You have to handle hecklers. This is one thing that we have to do for online. Just like I demonstrated earlier on. What happens if you have a phone call suddenly calling you at that moment? It disrupts your whole performance. It disrupts your mindset of what you're presenting. So never let this tiniest disruption affect your full performance. Okay, preparation is the key. Just say. So contest wise is there are ups and downs. We talk about three kind of failures just now. Now I'm going to talk about one successful and brilliant experience that I had online that I think is really professionally held as a contestant. From a contestant point of view, I want to feel that I am able to realize my potential online. What do you mean by that? It means that I'm being instructed well. I'm using the device very okay, so it's user friendly. And for me, is that I want to know what happens on all the problems that may be faced. Like I may not anticipate the problems. You are the solutionist. The contester are the solutionist to provide you for a backup so that I myself will not be worried on the performance. The worries, the fears are always within the contestants. The first thing when they get disconnected online is that they will be panicking and forgetting the script. This is what happens for new contestants. And we have to bear in mind for the solution. So that time I was having a very good one because I was instructed very clearly, provided with nice feedbacks. And also if when I got disconnected, actually, which really happened, they called me and say, "Are you doing all right? Don't worry, we will wait for you for 5 to 10 minutes and for you to get back online. If you need any help, we have these two numbers. You can call in and let us know if you have any further issues. But don't worry, you'll be fine. You're still in the contest." Think about it. That kind of service and hospitality that you do, tiniest details to make the contestant feel comfortable. That time I had a good time. Even though I got disconnected, I won eventually. But the thing is, so maybe the thing is that if I get a good experience, I win, right? So the point is that when you are competing online, you always need to think about lots of different things. But the good online experience for contestant is that you do not need to worry anything. You just need to focus on one thing. And that one thing is something very simple. You are delivering your best at your best. So that's what contestant will feel as an enjoyable experience. Okay, so when you're making a contest or if you're a contest chair, stuff like that, think from the contestant perspective. They are as nervous as you are. You are worried. You are really worried about organizing a contest. They are really worried that they are not doing fine. So you have two worrying parties here. So there has to be one person or one group of people that will take care of one or the other, right? So which one will be more responsible? For the contest chair, they are the organizers. And I wouldn't say the burden of proof on them is that they are leaders too. And the leaders could take care of the members. The contestants are usually the members. So take care of them, think about different backup options to make them feel comfortable. Okay. So for the contestant, I would definitely love to have someone that is making me feel that even if I'm nervous, like, "Hi, Aaron, are you all right? I noticed that your network has been disconnected. Now, is there anything that I can help you? But don't worry, you'll be fine. Still in the contest, and you are doing okay just so far. Okay, I will remind you the part that you have been disconnected so that it will help you to transit on when you come back online." Okay, so you think about those wordings, the power of words now. It makes the contestant feel comfortable. I can go for contest confidently, and voila. Okay. So that one is for me that I had one of the most brilliant experience there. That even I make all those technical mistakes as a newbie that time, I feel I learned something. I feel that I can focus on one thing. For those of you who are very new, you will find that the first basic issue that you face is that there's loads of different buttons, right? Loads of different buttons. Which one should I click? I don't have time to read the tutorials. Stop telling me to read the tutorials. As a contestant, I would say something like that, right? How many of you really do read the tutorials? Seriously and honestly. They send so much materials out. And how many of you really read it? Now, if they don't read it, that yes, this is only for people who do read it. Think about those people who doesn't spend the time there. Now, thinking from contestants or contester, I will think about not just making a PDF file, but really going to make a video. Oh, now why do I say suggest a video then? Okay, if you have a video clip of 1 minute, remember they are busy people. They rather walk their dogs or even like spend the time to have a nice lunch buffet or something. But if you have a 1 minute short video and then they click on it, read the whole contest procedures. Think about the contestants. Are they willing to spend that 1 minute? Although it's their responsibility to keep everything in check. Okay? Make your instructions as simple and effective as possible. That's from the contest facilitators part. Make it simple and effective. Simple, I can see it within the time frame that I set for myself. 1 minute is actually recommended though, 1 to 2 minutes. No one wants to read a long YouTube video like TED Talks unless they are like, oh, I want to learn something. I'm devoting my time for that. The simple and effective method. So from the contestants, I don't read the manual, but I'm willing to spend 1 minute on this video and see how it goes. That's a difference. I read it, and then I can see how it goes. So that will help the contestant to excel even more by just reading the manuals and reading the video, not the manuals, and then they go on because they have a big idea. Now, in terms of coaching and training, most of the simple things that we want the other party to be effectively learning it is to mix a bit of visuals with wordings. So how many of you actually make chunky PowerPoint slides? Like there's loads of words in one slide. How many of you like that? I didn't see anyone raising up their hands. What happens if I put the PowerPoint slides with only one sentence? One sentence that has 7 little words. Would you like that? What about if I put a visual there? A picture for you to imagine. And then 1 to 2 words like be brave. Would you like that now? Now, there are different ways of presentation on that part. Now, both parties are in a worrying situation. So the contest facilitator, make the information very simple. Make it visual for the contestants to feel. So that is actually for that point. Now, moving on to my contest journey of the very funny stuff is that I always thought that I'm always prepared. What do you mean by that? I have a Wi-Fi. No, I have a webcam. I have a mobile phone that is on my backup. I thought I'm safe. Literally, when I go for a contest in a very poor condition, I actually went to have a contest on a ferry. Yeah, I was actually taking a ferry, and that ferry was crossing from UK to France. You know, the cargo underwater. Is it underwater? No, underwater. So there's a nice. I was actually taking a shuttle bus, and then it was a contest season for me. So that time I was traveling on a holiday, and that bus was shipped on a bigger ship. You can visualize that. So I was taking on a cruise, and there was no good, decent internet in the sea. Okay? Think about the part whereby I thought everything is prepared. Okay, literally, I have my small little portable Wi-Fi. I had my mobile. I have my laptop all set and prepared for that little contest. And I thought from my previous experience, I'm not going to have a Tech 4 or Tech 5, right? But then it do happen. Always do rehearsal, even if you think you're prepared from a contestant perspective. You may think that you're prepared, but just one last step. Have you actually rehearsed it? Have you actually go into that room and at least know the problem first before you go to the real contest? Always give yourself some time before the real contest. Test your stage. Practice that electronic equipment. Are you actually in that room? Or can you perform live? So when you notice that, let's say, if I had known that my performance, that time I was actually trying to log in for the past 30 minutes, I couldn't get on. Literally, I couldn't get on. So what I did is that I tried to find all this means, but failed in the end. Okay, so I couldn't go online, but then I actually try to send even emails or WhatsApp. It doesn't get through. Okay, it doesn't even get through because there's no connection. So one big lesson for us here is that when you even if you get prepared, do rehearsals, the solution is actually made. Just letting you know what's the solution. Actually, there's one solution at the end, but after the whole contest, is that I discover that the ship itself has Wi-Fi. Okay, when I say Wi-Fi within a specific rooms or so, because there's no router there, they cannot cover the whole place. It's only for the staffs. So if I have known this very fact, if I have tried to have more time to explore this option, then maybe and just maybe I can go for that contest. So don't make assumption that you are fully prepared. You will never get always fully prepared. There are always situations that you need to prevent or at least explore some solutions beforehand. So my tip for you today is do not assume that you're always prepared. Do rehearsals, at least enter the room first. I'm still glad that we still have 12 people here. Which with the start, we still have 14 and then it's up to 12, but still okay, good sign. Now, next one. This is actually a funny story that I did share, and I did make a friend. And when I say I make a friend, it's someone that I don't know. Okay, so how many of you actually live in a high-rise building, and then they're all even in a house whereby you know that there are neighbors beside you, right? Raise your hand if you know that people are living around you, which is a very simple, stupid question. What about Dennis? There's no one living beside you, like no, even like different houses, no. Oh yeah, the different houses are your neighbors. Okay, so I don't get to know them literally. Okay, there was this funny incident whereby for the contest I make a new friend. So you can visualize what happened. So I was competing. Everything in my home was having electronic, the short circuit part. So there was no internet connection. So don't talk even about Wi-Fi really. So my mobile network is not that good. I have no choice. I'm desperate. This is how I make a new friend. I run to the next door, knock on the neighbor. Hello. Hi, how can I help you? My name is Aaron. I'm living next door. Nice to meet you. Shake your hands. Do it in the next 5 seconds. Shake hands. Can I actually use your laptop for a moment? My whole house was actually in chaos, and I am actually having contest in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Can I use your laptop? Or if you think that's not okay, can I bring my laptop over and I use your Wi-Fi? That was a very short, very disrupt conversation. If you were the neighbor, how would you feel? Is this guy crazy? No, but then that really do happen because I was panicking. I was thinking about all the solutions. My home was like panicking. I'm panicking. Everywhere is panicking. My mom is running around or something like that. So that is running around because she can't watch Korean movies. That's the reason why. So it was she screaming like that. Okay, for those of you who know what is Korean movie or even like those series, they don't like, oh, I don't have my Wi-Fi. And then yeah, you can imagine that everyone was panicking. I was panicking. They were panicking, and literally everyone was having fun. Fun. Okay. So I knock onto the neighbor's door. I asked for them for the Wi-Fi, and literally in the end, yes. And then I feel so very touched is that they said something. That the guy was that there was a guy neighbor and said, "Do you need cup of coffee or tea? Do you need more sugar?" Now you're in the neighbor house and you don't know him. He doesn't know you, and then this person just say, "Do you need a cup of coffee?" Think about all this warmth that you're having, and then you're competing against it, and you make the stupidest mistake and say, "Thank you very much, please. Now one nice coffee cappuccino, and then two less sugar, please." Yes, I did that because I'm used to working, and I did say that to a neighbor, and then he just say, "Right away, sir." And then it was a very nice conversation, the whole thing. And that time I realized that always, 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 even if you rehearse, you could have asked for help. Do not take every single burden on yourself. Always find people that would definitely help you. Do not put all the problems on yourself that you are the one that's fixing the solutions. Ask for help. You never know. You open a new door. So from a contestant perspective, voila, I did make a new friend. That new friend was like telling his friends, hey, do you know that there was a nice crazy story that my neighbor actually come by knocking on my door and asking me to for Wi-Fi and competing online. I can hear his speech. And the funniest joke ever is that he actually dared to demand in my house on a cup of coffee and asking me to put 2 sugar cubes less. Who do he think he is and stuff like that. And he was sharing this story as a joke. Okay, it was a joke among his friends and mutual friends that we had, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and I can still remember the story to this very day. Think about all these possibilities that will happen. You might meet your other one, or you may meet some new neighbors that yes, you could have break this connection. The ice breaking. Remember we did the first speech on ice breaking? Yes, literally this is the ice. So next time if you really want to know new friends, knock onto the door of the neighbor and say, "Can I borrow your sugar? Can I borrow your salt?" And yeah, you build bonds there. The contestant, yes, I have to build the bonds because of the contest, right? So another point whereby I actually do my contest speeches when I was in the metro. Now, for those of you who do not know what metro is, it's like transit, train, literally on the train. So just asking everyone, have you actually competed on a train? Okay, I competed twice. One in Hong Kong Metro, MTR, which is Mass Transit Rapid, and no, yeah, Mass Transit Rapid, because in Singapore it's a different term. Now in UK, I was taking a train from Birmingham to London. Those are the two journeys, and two different sets of experience. Let's talk about the one in UK. The one in UK is like this. I have to go through a 2 hours train ride, and they go through lots of tunnels, right? Imagine the time whereby just those lots of tunnels. There is Wi-Fi on the train, so I got to use the Wi-Fi. I also use the laptop, which is also nice and preparation for the contest. So I was prepared. But what I didn't know, and, and that was actually a funny story, is that what I didn't know is that there was someone who was sleeping behind me. Okay, imagine that you're sitting. There are seats. I'm not sitting in VIP seats. Okay, there's someone sitting beside me, and remember that when you're doing a speech, you can't say, "Welcome, ladies and gentlemen." But today, my ice-breaking speech is. What happens? You can see literally, right? You can see that literally. I'm actually covering my mouth and I'm speaking like that. This will affect your whole performance, right? Because you are limited in your gestures. So what I did is that I was doing a speech. I thought everything is okay. This is actually exactly what my sister. I will repeat what my sister said to me a couple of days ago. So, is that I was speaking 5 to 7 minutes, very happy, and then obviously there are some disruptions in the center because of the when you go through tunnel, the network actually is choppy, so it's actually a bit laggy. And what happens next is a nightmare of my life that I never dared to take a 2 hours train ride. I want to take a shorter one because I don't want to have experienced this kind of customer or passenger. So that guy was sleeping like that, snoring. I can hear his snore very loud. So when I'm doing contest, that snore is my background sound. Yes, I have to admit, there was a nice addition background sound there. So notice your surroundings. So this tip for you to know is that please beware of what is your surroundings. Maybe there's a police car that drives come by and say wow, wow, and then it will disrupt your whole performance. Okay, so there's a person that's snoring. There is a poor network that will break you down, and you sometimes have the waiter pushing the trolley and say, "Sir, do you need anything? Do you need some snacks?" Like they literally know that you are on the call. Okay, you are talking, right? And then you have this additional background sound that may disrupt. Okay, so literally, it's what I do. It's not on the camera though, but I'm just showing you what I'm doing in the background. Okay, I'm just like, go away. So notice your surroundings. Make sure that is actually important for you in a very nice condition. Notice your surroundings. Thank you very much, Jen, for laughing. So notice your surroundings, and those are the factors that might affect you. And this is not the worst part yet, actually. Snoring, we have the disruption and stuff like that. These are all not controllable, right? Yes, actually, it's controllable. I could have done something. Okay, what should I do? I could put a sign, a piece of paper, at the side of the table, and let the waiter see the table. I can just point it there and say, "Do not disturb." Right? I could have done this. I could have talked to the nice little gentleman over behind me and when he's snoring and said, "Are you okay? Do you need I'm sorry to disrupt your sleep." Actually, it's personal. I'm sorry to disrupt your sleep, but are you okay? You're snoring too badly, and I have a friend that's snoring badly, and then it died in suffocation. I was worried about you. Are you alive? I could have said something like that, right? And then basically it was like, "Oh, I'm fine." And then after which you go back to sleep. That gives you additional 5 to 7 minutes of time to speak for Toastmaster contest. If you understand where I'm coming from, right? I need to dose off. I really need to start into getting into the sleeping mode. And then the snores come back. So it's a good, effective way to talk your way out. This is a solution. Really, I'm just saying that this is actually what I did for the snoring person. But I didn't mention this, okay? So I actually did when I'm doing a talk, my hands were like this, like one arm, okay? You can hear the sounds behind, right? Okay. That was the solution that I had, but I could have done better. Done better meaning that I could have just tell him that could I appreciate that maybe you can spare 5 to 7 minutes of your time so that I can actually compete. Remember the last point that we had just now? Always ask for help, ask for the cooperation. And that was a kind of a nice little background, and it went live in my university as the second winner, the second place winner, and they were laughing. The audience are laughing when they're reading this one because they're not laughing at my speech. They're laughing at all these different sounds that has the rhythm, like. And then after which the waiter say, "Do you need a coffee and tea?" And this kind of nice chiming that combines like everyone like, "You are good." You are not affected by it because my hands were like competing. It's like you cannot see me my hands are moving, right? But you cannot see my hands doing this, right? Okay, so they were seeing all this kind of nice elements in play to prevent yourself from having this issue. So this is a kind of hectic experience for me too. Now for the Hong Kong one is I was actually competing on the go. So I have no time because I couldn't get back home in time. So I was competing on the go, have my headset and the microphone attached to my phone, and I'm looking at this on the screen, right? Literally, the eye level. Remember the eye level part? I was literally watching there, but then you know that in the metro, there'll be people coming in. It will be crowded. They may actually push you because it's a busy working hour. Not just that, you have little like five I wouldn't say millimeters, 5 cm to 10 cm of distance between you and the person next to you. That's how packed it is. Luckily, it's not Japan. Japan is worse because you can see that everyone's like, whoa! You cannot even hold your head high. I'm competing online. No, I can't. So in Hong Kong, it's like that. But the thing is that you will notice they are also talking too, and you can't stop that. Or you can't stop everyone at the same time. It's not like the snoring person. You can just like tap on it. Are you alive? But for this real metro, you can't. You have to think about the best possible options. So my best practice in a very complicated situation is that really have to use your hands and then say, "Can you guys hear me?" Now, for the first few minutes, I'll be doing this because I do not want to disrupt the passengers. But the thing is, you see my gestures. Can you see number one? Can you see number two? And can you see number three? Now, this is a story that I'm going to tell you, The Three Little Pigs. Now, you see the difference, right? I have to be constrained on the methods of conveying online in order to maximize my odds of winning. Because the odds of winning is that what's most important in an online contest, other than eligibility issues, like other than switching on myself, is that they hear what you say. That's the essence of speech contest. The wording is speech. So you have to maintain your audio at all costs. So your audio is like the lifeline of online speech. So even if you're not performing with the gestures, at least you get your message across. Okay? So if everything is failing, protect your audio mics. This is my tip for everyone. At least make yourself audible in a very, very noisy background. Otherwise, if I'm going to do speeches like that, and there will be like different people chatting around, speaking English, different language, French, German, blah, 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 disrupting your whole speech. If I'm the judge, I will be annoyed, right? I'll be super annoyed, literally, when I'm listening to your whole speech. I have all this sounds, conversations, background. Who should I focus on? Then you need to focus on your voice being louder. See the difference? Like if I'm going to speak like this, one, and speak like this, one. See the voice is bigger and clearer. So make sure that your clarity is actually very important in an online contest. Don't be like me, really funny. Everyone is around and they were talking, and there are people. Yeah, literally, there's also another story there. There were people talking about which underwear are they going to buy. When I'm talking a very professional speech about connections and stuff like the underwear, the great underwear is very nice, and the sound is like interrupting you. Think about it, okay? So I'm going to give everyone a simple thought process now. So if you are me at that time, you are in a crowded place. Unfortunately, you're rushing home. Now, what would you do to increase your odds of competing even on a metro or even on a train? So I give everyone a thought process. Type in the chat box. I give everyone like 30 seconds or so. Because this is what I'm sharing, but I want everyone to actually imagine yourself. The most important is about imagine yourself in that situation. What would you do? Or what could be done better? So I give everyone like 30 seconds. Because all these ideas are on your mind. If it really happens, these are your solutions. And let me see whether it's actually feasible, workable for you. I believe Dennis is thinking hard. Actually, it's a good solution. It's for Selena's solution is actually very practical too. Okay, Dennis actually nice did a very nice called the chain effect. So for Selena, let me explain that Selena's option is actually pretty okay, because there's one good thing about that comment is that screw it, I can't make it back home, I'm going to compete. Then my next recommendation is why do it in the train station, right? I'd rather go for a nearby Starbucks, or even like a Pacific Coffee, or even like a nice cozy in the park to maximize our odds, right? So if you know that the solution is very simple, if you know that you can't make it back in time, find a place that you are going to settle your contest with, because the contest has to be done at that time. Okay. So for Dennis, it's a good way to do so. Oh, the guy was talking about underwears, and then basically he's just going to talk about buying what. So I believe that he's a very kind and caring person to care about his girlfriend's needs. Yeah, chain effect. That's what we call it. So this is okay, but you cannot chain 10 to 20 people at the same time, right? Yeah. So if there's one that's louder, yes, you can control it. 3 or more, no. You don't have time to chain. You have to focus on your speech. So that is only a temporary solution for Dennis. So we have 11. Thank you. Thank you for staying behind. Now move on. Other than the trainings one, what are the most memorable speeches? I remember I tried to do a speech when I'm actually trying to take a plane. So for you, anyone who has taken a plane so far, I believe everyone did. Sometime, somewhere, I got to travel. Yes, I was taking it. So that time I was at the airport lobby. The contest is just 10 minutes away, and it's the last call. I have to board the. I couldn't just stay behind for the contest, right? I have to go for my holidays. So I took my passport, boarding pass stuff, and walked in. I take it slowly. I walk slowly just to buy myself some time, and I head to my place. That will be the first interruption and say, "Welcome to Singapore Airlines. Uh, may I have your boarding pass so I can actually guide you?" So you see that they're very nice, but sometimes nice is not really what you want at that time, right? So it's okay. Let me just go there. Thank you. I get your number later. No, just moving on later, is whereby you go to the whole transition, and remember that there are people in front of you, right, waiting to put their luggage, or people like the kids crying and say, I want to have a toy, and there are different sounds there. You can't control it anyway. So moving on, and after which slowly, and that's where you prepare your contest. Now, if you were me, now the time is that you only have like 5 minutes or so. 5 minutes is tops, and you know that your plane is going to fly. You know that your plane is going to fly. I'm just thinking all of this out of the box stuff that some people are doing this actually literally. No, there's only like 5 minutes to go, and then your plane is like, our plane is like really going to prepare yourself for flying, moving already. Your Wi-Fi, your internet is getting weaker and weaker by the second. How would you solve this problem? I give everyone 30 seconds to think about. If you were me sitting on a seat and then there are people beside you reading newspapers already, and then the plane is going to fly now, and then you have that moment of competing, and then your speech hasn't started because you know that sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? There will be sequence, and your turn is not there yet. What would you do? I know that this situation might not be common. You can't do that. So you know, they don't allow you to do that. They say, "Are you booking the train or not?" They will think that you're disrupting and chase you away. Some people. Now, if you were me at that time, what would you do? Well, I'm actually sharing the try and test it method actually. Is it a nice brainstorming for everyone? Okay, so let me tell you my solution at the time. So the first thing I would talk to is the whoever organized the contest, right? Saying that my plane is going to fly. Remember, always ask for help, okay? Now, can there be any alternative solutions that I can do? I'm really live on the plane. Now they said it's okay. They understand the situation and asked me to do a video clip immediately for 5 minutes, right? So at that time, my turn is not online, but I have to switch on to the mobile phone and record for 5 minutes, literally, and send it to them before my plane flies off. So my turn is actually like recording, and obviously I have to prove that I'm actually in the plane. Obviously, the background I have to show that this is my seat, okay? So they know that it's a plane. So yes, everything is recorded, and I sent. Voila, solution solved. I won indirectly. I won also. And there were people complaining and protesting. Yes, you got to know that there will be. Why did I lose to that person who is like having a video? Like literally, the video has different configurations. You can beautify yourself and stuff like that. I can't beautify on Zoom. Yeah, so you will see some complaints there, but remember the thing is that always make your condition known. Don't keep everything to yourself. Okay, communicate is the key. So that time I actually recorded and directly sent it. in the end, even though I won second, I still said that maybe it will be unfair to the contestants, so I'm willing to return the trophies if needed. So I did something like that because I know that if I could have done properly in a room, or it will be better. But I have no time. I have to do recording. It will be unfair. So I actually did it because winning is not everything. It's only just showing how much you have improved. Okay, broken your limits. So yeah, those are the stuff that I've done. This is called the basic stuff. Yes, I'm only talking about basics. So far, if you're thinking about this is already crazy enough, this is not. This is only just the beginning. Okay, and you're thinking like, what is crazy later on, right? What else can be crazier than this? Okay, so yeah, there was one contest. Let me share something called the intermediate level now, and see whether I have time to talk about the difficult part. So intermediate level is that when I'm competing for online contests, that day I was actually having we in China or Hong Kong, we do have something called the Qingming Jie. Qingming. In English, it means like the tomb sweeping festival. Tomb. So you sweep at your ancestors, right? And you know that your uncles and relatives are there, and you shouldn't talk, right? You shouldn't talk. But then that day, I have a contest. Yes, I love contests. Okay, so think about this and imagine a situation. Is it worse than just now already? And this time there are human supervision. People who are supervising you around you and say you should be paying respect to your ancestors. Stop talking. Yeah, that type of situation. Now, when I'm competing here, and then I have to think about all these potential restraints, and everyone is like really unhappy. I miss my grandma, and then you are talking like, "Hi everyone, I want to share a story about my family." Yeah, I know you guys are laughing already. So literally for that situation, what I will be doing that time is that I did ask for one solution, and this is the only solution I did thought about, and it worked. I asked, "Can I go for a toilet break?" Is it simple and effective? Yes. You care. It's a basic necessity, which basically you did a tall tales about it, and then you you just let them focus on what they're doing, and you uh go for your own little speech, and then obviously people will be looking at a background full of mountains and tombs behind you. Remember, like a cemetery, those of tombs around you, and then nice background. But when you're doing your speech, you feel that you are a bit sad. Literally, you know that it's supposed to be sad, but then I actually adjust my saying, "Today I would like to share with you my story with my family," and it's a very touching and sad story too. No, because you need to know that we have to learn something as a speaker is adjust our emotions accordingly to. It's not supposed to be a humor speech. I know I make everyone laugh just now, but literally, one of the rules for laughter is that you share this unpleasant experience, and people think that yes, it doesn't happen on me, it happens on you. That's why I think it's laughing. That's the essence of humor. Okay, but the thing is that I was actually sharing the story, and I would suggest to you that adjust your speech according to your emotions. You can't always be prepared in that attitude. Okay, adjust it. If you're feeling angry, put a bit of part in your speech that actually let your strength to increase, because the more angry you are, at least some of the wordings you actually shout with anger and frustration, they can feel it, the audience can feel it. Okay, so adjust your emotions and add them accordingly to your speech. So that time I was actually feeling very sad, so I start out with a warm one, then I talk about a depressing story, and after which I bring a little lift. So now everyone, I'm actually at the tomb sweeping day with my parents and relatives, and I look at all the tombs behind me. Now I showed my webcam to everyone. You can visualize it, right? Now these are the tombs of all those people who are some people, someone else loved ones, and passed away. These memories are always there. We don't need to always come by the term just to remember them, but we remember them in our hearts. Now, I just did a demonstration of how I was doing at that time to blend in the background with my speech. Okay, blending would be a key. Even if all desperate measures failed, you're affected by the snoring sound of that trained person, or the little, like 2 little sugar cubes less from our neighbors. Think about all this blending part. Online meetings is about blending, because in an in-person meeting, you will not have this situation. The only situation that you had is that you will have the feeling that, yes, maybe there's no clear briefing and stuff, but the stage is always there. Only your technical equipment might not be controlled. But when you go for the contest in the online, there are lots of different variables that we cannot control, and we have to blend in or adapt to it. Blend and adapt is different. Blend meaning that you merge with it, with your emotions, merge with it with yours. Adapt to it is that, yes, I take that snoring into my speech, just like what Dennis did for the chain effect. The chain effect of making a laughter and making it light for people to follow. Yeah. So these are the kind of common issues that we faced online, literally. And out of all these stories so far, can you actually type in the chat box which one has a lasting impression? Obviously, this is the first question. The second question is, if you were me at that time, what would you have done? Now, because this is actually a nice brainstorming activity for everyone to think about, what happens if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, this is a practice that I didn't include in the training, but I was thinking that it has to. You have to think about from a perspective like Dennis. What happens if your whole house is short circuit and there's no lighting, there's no Wi-Fi? What would you do during the contest? Now, for Selena, what happens if suddenly your fan is not moving and your hair is not flying away? And no, it's still fine. I'm just joking. But I was saying that what happens if suddenly your mom comes in and say, "Why do you say fana?" or eat something. You know that they'll call you and say, "Let's eat something. We're waiting for you. The food is cold." Hecklers. What would you do if you are being heckled? Like for Sandy, for a situation is that, what happens if the lightings, there's lots of, like, you have a window frame at the side, right? What happens if there is some other lightings that is flashing? You know, some of the police cars may be flashing the lights there, and it actually affects your background. This is an easy question for Sandy, actually. No, there will be things that will be disrupting you. You have to think about how to stop that. Now, you will worry that there are some potential animals that's barking. There are police cars coming by with sirens. How would you stop that? Or I wouldn't say stop that. How will you make it as part of your speech, or how do you blend it and adapt to it? Remember the 2 techniques that I mentioned just now. How do you actually solve that problem?
So do I have to move on, or just pretend nothing really happened?
No, I'm just I'm just giving you a thought process. Okay, I'm just giving you a thought process. What happens if there are things that disrupts you, even in the online contest? How would you do it? Like, I need to know your initial thoughts. Like, right now, what do you think? And then after which, what would our suggestion be? Remember that our suggestions are just for reference. We do not want you to think about only your own solution. You need to think about 3 to 4 solutions for each scenario.
If the lightning things, I would change the smartphone angle to kind of avoid the inference lightning. So if it's like, if I'm doing this way, I will kind of move the smartphone angles. If the second part is about noise, or I maybe I can I mean, I don't know. This part is annoying because for me, I would kind of cover my smartphone, but actually, it was limited to voice for me. So that's a part I don't know.
No, because this is actually testing right now. If this situation really happens on your contest that day, these are the solutions that you can think about, right? We are testing your now initial response of how you can solve that problem. Now, this is what really happens if you were there. So I'm just doing a simulation for everyone in the visualization process. Now, if I were you, what I do is that I can pretend nothing happened, which basically Celinda mentioned, or as you mentioned, that when I'm speaking, I do this. You notice what I'm doing right now?
Let's just move the
No,
angle.
I need to move it. I couldn't just say move like that, right? This is called blood moving. It's very obvious. We have to do that. Sometimes in life, we try to think about different things that when we are talking about, you can see I'm moving, right? I'm doing it in slow motion. So do not do very obvious blunt movement that people can spot at once. Do it as discreetly as possible. That shows your professionalism in handling it. Just now I just did my moving my webcam, right? But it's not too obvious because it's actually slowing down. Obviously, there are people who might be standing, and then there are things that will be destructive. What would you do if you're standing? You cannot control your laptop, right? You cannot control webcam. So what would you do? Nice question, though. Dennis, no Wi-Fi switch to 4G in on a mobile phone and all record fill in the blanks. Okay, so for Dennis' situation is what happens if your mobile provider stop your phone? No, I'm just really asking you a very honest question. Suddenly, or maybe the nearby telecommunication tool, which really do happen, breaks down. So what would you do? You can't knock onto your neighbor and ask for a cup of coffee, right? Now, what would you do if you were there? I'm giving the thought process. I know I'm thinking a bit extreme that these are things that will happen or may happen, but these are really what happened to me before. You can call me as bad luck, but I'm just thinking about I want you guys to effectively prevent this to the extremes. We talk about like a Boy Scout motto: be prepared, be prepared. Call the contest chair allowed for 10 minutes, change location. Yes, it's possible. Good solution by Selena. Yes, you can. But for Danny's situation, what happens if the internet is actually down and there's no neighbors? They are sleeping already. What happens? You can't, right? You can't solve that. But usually in that district, the timing shouldn't be a factor unless you happen to be traveling. But because if I'm traveling on holiday, I still can compete online, right? So it depends on your time zones. Yeah, for those of you who are competing in a different city, when you're, yes, I did once in a city, but then, this is actually what happens to me. I usually have a practice to come by to the contest room 30 minutes before the actual timings. And for that contest, I didn't consider the daylight saving mode. So for Dennis, definitely knows what happens, right? So for those of you who do not know what daylight saving mode is that in US, Greenwich time, you will have a timing whereby you have having a plus 1 hour or minus 1 hour. It depends. Okay. So I didn't consider that factor. I only noticed the time converter, which is basically converting like -8, GMT +8, etc. I just need to notice about the time. But there's something additional called the daylight saving, which till this very day, I might still make the mistake. And I didn't consider that additional hour. So during that time, I was late, but it's not my turn yet. Luckily, so I'm fine. But the thing is that always know your time of contest, know your system that you're competing, test out the buttons, do rehearsals, practice, record yourself in that video like Zoom. You can record yourself literally, and then do the speech. So this is a nice 1 hour short sharing for everyone on the contest. Obviously, I did the craziest one in. I don't recall that place. Yeah, that was more for intermediate level. It's like I did a contest when I was near the permits. Near the permits. Not the sand permits near the beach. Okay, the real permits. I did a contest there, and the Wi-Fi is really bad. And if you're going to explore, it's really creepy. When I say creepy, means that you know there are coffins there, and suddenly there's stuff. So you can't always say that please stand outside because they only have one time slot that you're fixed to go in there. So you cannot just wait outside. So you have to go in there. So in there, there's no there's no Wi-Fi. Okay, don't think that you have Wi-Fi. There's no Wi-Fi. No, actually there. I think now there might be. I'm not sure, but the thing is that during the time I don't. Okay, I don't literally. Um, and I was competing. Yes, I do anything for competition contest right now. So I was competing. It was really weird because echoes I can hear myself, and people were like mumbling only. That's like talking, and then they were enclosed, and I can hear some echoes. Yeah, so these are the echoing issues of what you do. This is common in online contest. If you're in a place whereby you are very spacious, I'm just saying spacious, and you could have the echoing issue happening to you. Okay, so always don't just rehearse on your own. Rehearsal is one good thing. Ask a friend. Always ask a friend. Ask for help. Remember, ask a friend to come online with you and say, "Look, can you hear me all right?" Or if you cannot ask your friend, don't worry. Ask the other audience in the room and say, "Is my audio okay? Is there any echoing issues? Can you hear me?" Yes, so these are the most important things. Test your microphones. Are you clear? Can you hear me? Is there any echoing sounds? Is there any fuzzy sounds in the background that may actually affect the whole performance? Get this noted. Yes. So the time I was looking at myself and everyone is looking at me because I have the echoing issues. The echoings, I see the wordings. Like I can hear like blah blah blah, and then sound just blah blah blah. So like I was talking online. I used this that is chain effect, which is called. I'm actually in a place whereby it's very nice. Look at the permits around here. It brings so much voices. It brings me the echoing voice of my own voice. So don't worry, if you miss me once, you can hear me twice. So that is the additional benefit for you to stay in this room with me. Yeah, this is called a chain effect. Okay, but yeah. So it can be a humor. I think this today's workshop it becomes a humorous workshop instead. Yeah. So these are my contest sharing so far. Prevent these issues with a few little tips in summary. One is that if you're in a place that you cannot get back in time, stick with the closest and possible safest place for you to go and do the speech. Okay. Do not find crowded place. You're running. You're trying to solve both things at once. Just focus on one. You cannot focus on all. Two, from a contest perspective, or from your own perspective, feel calm and carry on. Do not get nervous over the tiniest details because sometimes you cannot control it. You only want and wish and hope that the contest chair can be very sensitive to the contestants. Now, three, always learn how to blend in or adapt. Remember the snoring guy behind me on the train? The 2 little cups of sugar that is asking for coffee? And get to know this guy, and then that person actually shared my story to every friend that he knows. That is called positive advertisement. Okay. And we also have the situation whereby not just the train, not just the sugar cube, we also think about different scenarios as well. What happens if you are just very tight to close to each other and then someone actually talks about something that you shouldn't be on the broadcast or live? Adapt to it. Well, if I were him, if I were the contestant and notice somebody is talking about buying what sort of stuff, or clothing, so say, I would just turn around and say, "Great choice. I appreciate thank you for giving me some ideas to buy for my other half or something." And would you like to join this contest with me? Props. Okay, literally, they are props to you too. Blend in, and making sure that you are having some fine time, enjoying. Because if you show that you are frustrated on the face, literally, then with them in mind and adapting to you, you're having a fine time because you are having fun. The audience are feeling that you are having fun. They will be less annoyed by all these disruptions. So it really depends on how the presenters. If the presenters are like, go away, you can feel and see that expression on their face. And if the judges say, this is not professional, like, do not put your frustrations to the judges to bear. Do not put that into the judges to bear. Yeah. Yeah, so I kind of summarized a lot of things already. One more additional tip is that always, if you think that you're prepared, think again. Okay, there's nothing called over preparation. As quoted from a friend of mine, a good friend of mine from Tokushima, there's no such thing called over preparation or over prepare. That's only called continuously preparing. So when you're like preparing, you think that you're prepared enough. Have you thought about doing rehearsals? Yeah, that's for your reference. So now for today, it's going to be very short. Now I give everyone some funny stories that happens. That's why no one comes, because no one is interested in funny stories or sharing, contest sharing, because they focus on either I want to learn some tips about contestants. Well, actually, yes, you did today. You did learn something on things that you shouldn't do. Yeah, so in another way or nutshell is that communication, do not just take all your burdens on yourself. Communicate with your contest chair, your chief judge. They are there, okay? They are responsible for your whole entire contest procedures. Even if you get disconnected, don't worry, they're there, okay? So if you get nervous, okay, if you are like, I can't get online, how would the contest chair feel? Like, sir, Aaron, please come down. Everything is under control. Or you would say, I'm also feeling annoyed because you get disconnected. How would you like that? You wouldn't like that situation too. You're affecting every contestant, you know, because the contest is actually delayed because of you. Like, think about all this negativity, sharing cross 1, 2, 1, 2. You do not want that happening. You just want them to like, please understand my situation. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Could you wait? Can you tell the others? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, that's fine, right? Literally. So final tip for overcoming these obstacles is I already talked about laughters. I already talked about blending and adapting. I already talked about making yourself feel energetic and thinking, all right. The last option for online blunders to prevent is that you need to have faith in yourself. Have faith in yourself, in your speech. Don't worry about all these disruptions. They are there to test you. If you lost your faith, it's like, I really hate this experience. I really let my emotions control me. Okay? So just now when I was talking about the emotions, like two angry birds shouting at each other, but for yourself, do not lose faith that you're pleasant, because there are people like that. I'm just doing a demonstration number one. I got disconnected and I can't go. Screw it. I'm going to quit this contest. There are people like that. Because I feel depressed already, because technology is not helping me. I couldn't help it. I have to throw my thing. Sorry, I can't join the contest because I got disconnected. Sorry. Have faith in yourself that you'll be able to make it back. Okay? So these are my tips for today. Thank you for staying behind for 1 hour short ride. It's good to see that there's only like 20% decreasing rate. There are 8 people that's still standing. Thank you very much for today. So Dennis, you can stop recording. We can have a chat now. Summary: keep having faith, okay, for online contests. There's no point of taking pictures when they're 8. Yeah, just reading sign languages. Oh yeah, sign language. I forgot. Before we stop recording, Dennis, don't stop recording. There's one more tip I forgot. I literally forgot. It's the part whereby if everything goes badly, do this. This is actually a tip that one of the times on the contest I did. I did this when there are lots of disruption signs. Okay, this is actually what I did. Sign languages, but I do not want them to be disrupted. So, hi everyone. There are lots of people talking. I'm feeling very annoyed right now. It's very noisy. I do not want to disrupt you. You can literally see how I acted out the whole thing, right? Notice Mr. Bean. Anyone watch Mr. Bean here? Or seen or know this guy existed? Yeah, you know. Or you can watch Charlie Chaplin. Go have a look and see that actually gestures do help you to solve this crisis too. I just did a demonstration right now, right? You don't know what I'm saying, but I'm just doing literally the explanation for that. Gestures do help in this situation. So make those people who say that audios are more important. Yes and no, because if you have too much noise, you can't. They can't even hear you already. So it's the same thoughts of giving up on the audio for a while, giving up by literally muting yourself and continue on doing sign gestures. Gestures online. Okay, do it slowly. Remember the tip: slow and steady, because they may be lagged out. So let's say if there's lots of people talking, and then you just like laugh it out, right? And then you can understand what I'm saying, right? Literally. Not my heart would go on, but my heart is with you. Okay, so I'm giving my heart to you. You know those acting skills that you have practiced for long years? Yeah, like my mom is awake, so there will be disruptions. This is the morning trial from my family. Always lurking, are you awake? And stuff. So what do you get, right? You get like someone's talking and then that person, I'm just sleeping. Yeah, this action gestures will help you, okay? So these are all my tips for today. Have fun. Yes, have faith. Keep on carrying on. Thank you very much for today. So yeah, finally we can stop.
A question for you.
Go for apologize if
all
this
the things, the tips from you. For me, because you move very fast and you respond very fast. How about other people that respond? Inside a brand, if he's or she's a slow motion and a slow thinker, and won't be adapt so quickly as you do.
That's why we have to practice. It's just like we have the saying that in Chinese is called 广东话 is 将砍补拙. It means that so we make up for our time with our hard work. So it's like about preparation. There are people who will be slow and thinker, but then the thing is that remember the turtle and the hare race. Some people would know a lot of things and hop, 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 hop until near the end and sleep there. But the turtle was like exploring, and then try to make up the time. The more they prepare, the more they know how to respond to it. Just like imagine there's a fire drill in your house right now. Touch wood. I need to find a wood. Okay, there's a fire drill, and everyone was like, evacuation. That's why they do stimulation exercise to let you get adaptive to it. So the more you adapt to fire drill, it's better than the response time of those who do not have a fire drill. Fire drill is like suddenly there's a fire demonstration, I know Selena knows it, but I'm not sure about Sandy whether you have that fire drill. So they will do a simulation about fire drill, and everyone just evacuate from the house that they're staying in and go downstairs. So that's a
We do it
practice.
in the office yearly basis.
So this is more the response rate. You increase your response time.
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question, Sandy. So the more you practice on the same thing, the more you do. Okay, so the reason why we're recording this part, just for information, because you just missed the highlights. So I'm actually demonstrating what the highlights just now.
We are recording right now, but we are done so funny part, just past.
No, I'm rewinding it just for the highlights, the parts that's missing. Just now there was a fly that's flying across me just now. Okay, literally flying, and I was demonstrating the blend, the adapt, and communicate. So these are the 3 little words in my whole workshop. That you miss out the whole thing, just bear in mind. Blending the surroundings, adapt to situation, and communicate effectively to your contestant judges. Okay, so what happens next is just now is that the flying over me. I was like, sometimes we care about in life that there are lots of tiny characters like this fly. Maybe it's harmless, but it's just showing us a form of nuisance. So I would let it go. So it's just demonstration. Okay, that's one thing. And there's a time just now I was talking about a cousin that's putting a turtle, a nice little small turtle that's walking on my keyboard. And it's like he will be saying something like, cousin, please look at my pet and stuff like that. What I do is that, don't worry about that. Well, you are all watching on the screen. You might not know what the correspondence, the communication between this lovely individual, my cousin, my nephew, with this little turtle. Let me hold up the turtle for everyone to see. This lovely turtle here is the symbolic of longevity, and also is enjoying the life. So why care about the people when you can live freely? Okay, so
took like 30 seconds to explain, and then your own speech might be
no, add that into your speech, like related to, obviously I'm not saying that related to my speech, like remember the times whereby we care too much about what others think about us. Think about this turtle. Does it appears to look and care about other people's feelings? No, they only care about, I just want to eat my day off. So live happily, be positive, and make sure that this turtle is like you. And then thank you very much for sharing this turtle. And also this turtle brings my connection to my nephew. I get to know him better. The power of connections, the power of caring about ourselves to be free, and the power of conveying this information to you. Impromptu table topics, yeah. So yeah, so I'm just demonstrating how would you respond to adaptiveness in the other way or so. And there will be people just like my mom. For those of you who missed out the recording just now, that's my mom is talking in Cantonese and said, please remember to eat, buy your own food. And so I was just saying that, so it means that I will go and buy my food. And what I say next is that in life, sometimes communicating in the first language is not always the best thing. Communicating in the language that connects is the good thing. So just now I have to spend 30 seconds of my time speaking the language that my mom and I have shared a common bond together. So that's why we have to speak in different language. So the variety of languages are everywhere. You get to know different stories once you understand their language. So the power of language is there. so this is another table topics for everyone, like a random one. How you adapt and blend into the situation. You can't. I think I should do a workshop how to handle hecklers. I think that should be the key for contest because it's really
that's really fun.
Okay, so I know my purpose now for doing a workshop, how to handle hecklers, how to handle disruptive situations. I know now. And then obviously remember that always when you handle impromptu situation, respond with impromptu stuff like, I think I did this workshop last time to say sometimes we are too worried and we stay at home, we feel we are safe. But what happens if your family members are feeling like really bad and needs to protect themselves against you? You see this? The mask? Have to protect yourself against you. It shows that sometimes you do not need to care about me. I know that you want to stay with me. You know the self-talk part?
You blend it perfect. You blend it perfectly during that day, the workshop.
I know, but the thing is that now I'm just doing an ad hoc another one. It's a different story. It cannot be the same. No, it can, but you might lose the flavor of impromptu speech. Yeah, unmute yourself, Kathy, if you're talking. I thought you're talking to me. I'm not sure. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So those are the elements in place that you have missed out. Obviously, there's one more thing that you have missed out is that just now my mom was talking to my sister and then trying to wake her up. And then I was saying that if you have too much noise, then do the first thing called mute. Show that, literally show that. And you can still keep your move or show ongoing. Blend, adapt, communicate, yes. So yeah, I think this is a good lesson for everyone to actually, I think I would do a separate workshop of how to handle disruptive noise in the online. I also laugh too. Yeah, and one more last tip, I have so many ideas there, right? Is that always laugh it out. Laugh it out. Even if you think that you cannot control, it's like, in life we cannot control everything. Even my dog is missing me. You're crying, actually. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there are some people even comment for like humorous speech that may actually should unmute the audience so you can hear the response when the
No,
audience is
don't,
laughing.
never. You know the
Yeah.
nightmare.
Yeah.
No, you can see that in the humor whereby there was like they will be doing something like this. They were showing those facial expressions.
No, because during the contest they are not on their video, right? So they
No,
say
you
it's
tell
like
them. Yeah.
at least we can hear instead of the video.
Oh no, we don't.
Yeah,
But
that
we
is
can
horrible.
see we can see some people anyway. We can see the timer. So timer can be a good gauge. And not just the timer, we also can see the
CC.
contest chair or the contest MC. So basically these the two people are your allies in some way. Yeah.
No
So
choice.
those are the stuff that I think we should be helpful. And yeah, we have just finished this part and we can stop recording. Yes, it's not missing out. Everything is covered now. So